What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, two-time junior middleweight world champion, unified WBC, WBA, IBF, Ring Magazine, world champion, superstar boxer, Jermell Charlo, 34 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 18 wins by way of knockout. He's 31 years of age. He stands at 5'11", nearly 6 feet tall, with a 73.5-inch arm reach. Okay, he'll be taking on Brian Castano tonight. Brian Castano is the undefeated WBO junior middleweight world champion, Argentina star boxer, who is 17 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Brian Castano, 12 wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age himself. He stands at 5'7.5" with a 67-inch arm reach. Okay, Brian Castano is the WBO junior middleweight undefeated world champion. With that said, tonight marks the undisputed showdown between the two for total supremacy at 154 pounds. With that said, obviously there was some tempers flaring at the weigh-in. Jermell Charlo, he weighed in a whopping 153, letting you know he's completely focused, completely locked in, and completely dedicated to becoming the undisputed champion. Brian Castano, his team, his manager, had some tempers flared, and then his manager, he released the fact that he stated that Jermell Charlo gloves weren't right. You know, they had some issues with Jermell Charlo's gloves, and that they cited that they would possibly pull out the fight, which we see is not true. That's just simply tempers flaring between the two camps. With that said, my final prediction for this fight is that Jermell Charlo, he has a height advantage at nearly 6 feet tall. I'm just going to say 6 feet tall. And Brian Castano at 5'8". Jermell Charlo is going to have nearly a 4-inch height advantage over Brian Castano. Okay, and the biggest factor to me in this entire equation is that Jermell Charlo has a 74-inch arm reach and Brian Castano has a 67.5-inch arm reach. I want y'all to take that I want y'all to look at this and take something into consideration. Brian Castano has the arm reach of a Manny Pacquiao and a Gervonta Tank Davis, who both stand at 5'5". And Gervonta Tank Davis, he fights at 135 and 140, and we know Manny Pacquiao, he started his career at 108 pounds. They're both 5'5". They're not very big guys. Brian Castano, they're 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. He's 5'8" with a 67.5-inch arm reach. So he has a half-inch arm reach advantage over those guys. Okay, Jermell Charlo is going to have a 7-inch arm reach advantage over Brian Castano tonight. Jermell Charlo is going to have nearly a 4-inch height advantage over Brian Castano tonight. And Jermell Charlo has the experience over Brian Castano tonight. He's been in the bigger fights. He's been tested. He has a loss. He fought what I believe to be the best pure boxer at 154 in Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison got the victory over Jermell Charlo. The first fight, that saw a victory for Tony Harrison. I personally thought that it was a very close fight. I thought that Jermell Charlo won the fight, but the judges saw it, you know, different, and that those are who matters the most. So they saw a victory for Jermell Charlo, for Tony Harrison. But Tony Harrison is a very big junior middleweight. Tony Harrison is 6'1" with a 77-inch arm reach. So he has a 1.5-inch height advantage over Jermell Charlo, and he has a nearly a 4-inch arm reach advantage over Jermell Charlo. And he's probably the best pure boxer at 154. And they fought in a rematch. It was supposed to be a media rematch, but Tony Harrison got injured. So they fought in a rematch, and it saw Tony Harrison get knocked out. He got knocked down 3-4 times in the fight, and ultimately he was knocked out in the fight. So Jermell Charlo, he adapted. Okay, he's with legendary trainer who is 2-time trainer of the year, arguably the best trainer in the sport of boxing currently now, in Derrick James. He has 2 unified champions. He's also the trainer of undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who is widely considered by many to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Okay, so that speaks volumes about Derrick James. So with that said, Derrick James' resume is proven. His track record is proven. So with that said, you know, the fact that Jermell Charlo, when he first started, he started his career with another well-renowned trainer and a future Hall of Fame trainer, or Hall of Fame trainer right now, in Ronnie Shields, you know, and he was a pure boxer, okay? He was seen as the pure boxer. If you don't know, his identical twin brother, Jermell Charlo, who's undefeated and 2-division world champion. Jermell Charlo is the reigning WBC middleweight world champion superstar boxer, and Jermell Charlo is still with Ronnie Shields. Jermell Charlo was seen as the power puncher, and Jermell Charlo was seen as the boxer. Jermell Charlo was seen as the pure boxer. Jermell Charlo was seen as, you know, the knockout artist. Well, Jermell Charlo, he's since, you know, changed that mindset, okay? He's changed that thought pattern, because now he's got multiple knockouts. He's become a boxer puncher with Derrick James. So that speaks volumes about Derrick James, okay? So with that said, Jermell Charlo can fight in any fashion. He could fight you on the inside. He could fight you in mid-range. He could fight you on the outside. If he needs to be a dog, he can be a dog. He can back you up. He can fight off the back foot. You know, some would argue that he's not that great at fighting off the back foot. Nonetheless, you can't be perfect. He's not perfect, but he's very, very well rounded, okay? Nobody's perfect. So he has to have some flaw, okay? His flaw is that, you know, he's not the greatest boxer on the back foot, but he gets the job done on the back foot. Brian Castano, what he brings to the table is his rough, rugged style. He's very heavy-handed, but he only has 12 knockouts in his career. It's not like he has, you know, 100% knockout ratio, or, you know, he's doing with Gervonta Tank Davis, who's an undefeated 3-division world champion with 25 wins, no losses, no draws, and 24 wins by way of knockout, or Deontay Wilder, who has knocked down every opponent he's knocked out, or knocked down every opponent he's ever faced. Brian Castano is 17 wins with 12 wins by way of knockout. So 5 of his fights went the distance. He's a awkward, active fighter, okay? Put you in the mindset of Marcos Maidana. I believe he's more coordinated with his approach than Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana was very, very unorthodox with his approach. He was completely just rough, rugged, and, you know, come forward fighter. He couldn't fight on the back foot at all to begin whatsoever. Brian Castano is a little more well-rounded in his approach and a little more precise than Marcos Maidana. He's an accumulation puncher. You know, he is a guy that breaks his opponents down. He overwhelms you, okay? In a case, he's Sean Porter with power. Sean Porter has fought any and everybody in the sport of the who's in the sport of boxing. But Sean Porter, he has a rough, rugged style. He's a very pressure fighter. A lot of people see Sean Porter and they'll describe his style as a football player that's boxing, okay? So Sean Porter, he brings, you know, a lot of pressure, but it's calculated pressure. I believe Sean Porter may have the best footwork in the sport of boxing, okay? Very athletic, very quick. Just doesn't have the most power in the sport of boxing. So that's what Brian Castano is going to bring. He's going to bring a Sean Porter style of boxing to, you know, Jermell Charlo. Okay, that's what he brings to the sport of boxing. And so with that, I believe that that Brian Castano is getting ready to call him Sean Porter. Oddly enough, Sean Porter believes his style can beat Jermell Charlo. Okay, and I believe that's what Brian Castano brings to the ring. He's Sean Porter with power, okay, with more power, and you know, but I believe that that's what he's going to bring to the table. I believe that he's going to be very, very active, you know, but he's not so disciplined on defense. He can get hit, and so with that, I believe that Jermell Charlo, because he has a chameleon-like style, which means that he can adapt to what his opponents bring to the ring, okay, and some people thought that he was losing the second fight with Tony Harrison. And if that is the case, if he was losing the second fight, well, he made an adjustment in the second half of the fight and he got a knockout victory. You know, eventually he's going to adapt to what you bring to the table. Jason Rosario, pressure fighter, big puncher, big punching pressure fighter, and he's much bigger than Brian Castano, and he's much more rangy. Now, Jermell Charlo stopped him with a blow to the body, okay, a jab to the body. And again, Jason Rosario was a unified world champion, okay, who had coming off of one of the shocking upset victories in the sport of boxing, okay, when he stopped and knocked out Julian J. Rock Williams. So with that said, I believe that Jermell Charlo is going to have to adapt the first 2 rounds to the style of Brian Castano. Every now and then in the first 2 rounds, he's going to clip Brian Castano or just be missing these wide open punches just by a little bit. I believe in the 3rd round, Jermell Charlo is going to start to pick up the pace. He's going to find his range. He's going to, start landing clean punches. He's going to start landing combinations. Brian Castano is going to be very, very, undisciplined, on defense. And I believe that the fact that he's going to be, make a lot of mistakes on defense early in the fight, because he's going to be so antsy and so itchy to pressure and land on Jermell Charlo. He's going to make a lot of mistakes early. And I believe that Jermell Charlo is going to start breaking him down very, very early. It's going to be very surprising to a lot of people how early Jermell Charlo is going to break Brian Castano down. Brian Castano, he was in a big fight with Erislandy Lara, who is a very slick southpaw Cuban-style boxer with a great pedigree. Okay, and he's a southpaw and he's a pure boxer as well. The difference between Erislandy Lara and Jermell Charlo, first of all, is the size and the power. Erislandy Lara is very accurate, but at times Erislandy Lara uses unnecessary movement to get the job done. That's the reason why I thought he lost to Canelo Alvarez, because he just used wasted movement at times when he didn't have to. He could have stayed in the pocket. He could have landed beautiful combinations. He had quicker hands than Canelo. And he lost the fight because too much unnecessary movement. And the same goes for his fight with, Jarrett Hurd, Swift Jarrett Hurd. Too much unnecessary movement. Jarrett Hurd gets hit a lot. He just was moving so much that he starts to exude his own energy, and especially with pressure fighters. And that's what happened with Brian Castano. Brian Castano was coming forward, pressuring Erislandy Lara. Now the fight ended in a draw. I personally thought that Brian Castano won the fight. It ended in a draw, but again, Erislandy Lara's style, pressure burst pipes when you're dealing with Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara it makes pressure fighters make him very, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And he doesn't adapt well to pressure fighters. We saw Erislandy Lara get dropped by Alfredo Angulo, okay, which should have never happened, because Alfredo Angulo, boxing-wise or athletic-wise, skill-wise, is nowhere near on the level of Erislandy Lara, yet he was able to touch Erislandy Lara and drop Erislandy Lara twice with the same exact punch. So that lets you know about Erislandy Lara. That's completely different from that of Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is very disciplined on the defensive end. Like I said, Tony Harrison made him uncomfortable and was able to touch him and able to counter him because he has extremely long arms. He's bigger than Jermell Charlo, and he's arguably the best pure boxer at 154. So, yeah, his style gave Jermell Charlo problems, okay? But again, Jermell Charlo even adapted to that style. So, the pressure style, there's pressure fighters like Jason Rosario. He's faced Vanis Martirosyan. Those pressure, rough, rugged, unorthodox styles, Jermell Charlo does very well with. So I believe he'll start breaking down Brian Castano. It'll be nothing like what Brian Castano was used to with Erislandy Lara. He'll break him down early, and I believe that Jermell Charlo is ultimately going to get a 5th round knockout stoppage victory over Brian Castano. He's going to hit him with, I believe, to be either a left hook uppercut or uppercut left hook. Okay, it's going to be a combination of those. You know, it's either going to be an uppercut followed by a left hook or a right hook, or it's going to be a right hook, followed by possibly an uppercut. Right hook catch him. He's going to bend over forward, and Jermell Charlo is going to catch him with an uppercut in that fashion. Because Jermell Charlo, that's not a normal combination. He'll land the right hook, put his opponent in position where they're going to bend forward to get out of harm's way. And when he bends forward, Jermell Charlo is going to hit him with an uppercut, drop him, and I believe he's going to stop him 5th, 6th round. My prediction is Jermell Charlo gets a 5th round knockout victory over Brian Castano, because he's going to make some terrible, terrible mistakes early in this fight. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
This is Amanda, the Real Deal Serrano, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.